Hey everybody, John here. Today's video is going to be a sequel to the 5 tips of better mixes, but this video is going to be 5 tips for producers. And I've picked these 5 tips that are really going to help you out writing songs and composing things that it might sound simple, but if you kind of follow these, it's going to help you out and create better compositions and better music if you're writing stuff for people or even for yourself or for whatever reason. So the first one that I notice a lot is when people will write maybe a 8-bar or 16-bar loop, and it can sound great, but they don't really know where to go from there. They kind of get stuck into this 8-bar, 16-bar loop hellhole, and it's just an endless cycle, and you keep just listening to that over and over and over again, and sometimes it's kind of hard to break out of that. So something that's kind of really helped me is before I even start a song, I will basically chisel out the map of what I want the song to be. So this is a blank session here. I haven't added anything else to it except just a simple preset. I kind of just start off and build from there, which in itself is something that you guys should probably set up. So everybody's workflow is different. So I kind of have a basic thing with some acoustic drums, some FL stock drums in case I want to jot something down. If I need to plug in an acoustic bass, I can plug it in here in the bass, some guitars, I have my effects and just some basic stuff there that I'll adjust later, maybe a vocal channel for whatever, if I need something in there. Over here, I have 2 delays that you can kind of already see here. I have a reverb, I have FL's reverb dialed in there, and then I also have vintage verb, which is a great reverb. If you haven't checked it out, you totally should. And then I kind of just have like a distortion with fruity blood overdrive and some EQ to kind of taper off that high end over there. So this isn't necessarily one of the ones I want to go over, but it's a very important one that you should check out and kind of start doing, because it wastes time if you open up a session that's blank every single time. So to speed up your process, make a template, spend the time to make something that you like, and just keep using that for every new session. So for the first tip, this one's going to be song structure markers. So take a listen to your favorite songs of your genre that you're trying to write like, or if you're trying to write like a pop song, a metal song, a reggae song, whatever it is, listen to a couple of your influencers and kind of just take some mental notes of the song structures that they take. So for example, let's say you're making a pop song and you're like, okay, where is my song going to go? Because a song has to go places and then has to build up tension, release tension, keep the tension, drive a beat, slow down the beat. It's dynamic, it moves. So let's say you're here starting at the beginning. Press Control T over here and make a marker and drag this marker all the way to the beginning. And it says auto. You can rename that. You can right click, hit rename, or you can right click and press R, whatever is easier for you. And let's write intro. So let's say maybe you want a pad to kind of be an intro for, let's say, 8 bars, right? So then you're going to go over here and make another marker. You can right click as well. What I just did, you don't have to do the Control T, but let's say intro, and then you want to maybe come into the first verse, for example. So let's say verse 1, and let's drag it over here. So generally, let's say this verse, you want it to go maybe 16 bars or something like that, or however long you want to go. Let's say you just want to go to here. So add a marker and say pre-chorus. Boom. And let's have a couple bars of that. And then obviously pre-chorus is going to go into a chorus. You guessed it. Good job. So let's say your chorus is going to be this long, whatever. Add a marker and maybe make a post-chorus if that's what you want, if that's the roadmap that you want to go with. And this is by no means going to be chiseled in stone. This is just kind of a guideline to kind of keep you on track. So post-chorus, maybe make that a little bit not too long, so not to fatigue the listeners, and then add a marker, and we'll go right back into verse 2. And generally nowadays it's kind of popular to not even use a post-chorus. There's generally a chorus, and then bam, right into the second verse. No time to waste. Let's get right back into the verse. Now let's say you want, look at this first verse. So we have this lighter section, this darker section. Kind of sometimes it's easier to do it visually instead of counting. You don't want to be like, okay, this has to be a 8 bar, then this has to be 16. You can, but I mean, this is kind of more so demonstration purposes. So after this verse, let's say you want to kind of double it in length. It's going to be a long, crazy verse with a lot of shit going on. So after this second verse, let's go back into a pre-chorus 2. Not 12, that would be kind of annoying. So another pre-chorus, let's probably hopefully keep it the same length, stay consistent. It goes into the next chorus. Good job again. So sometimes some songs will have a chorus. This first chorus might be kind of short. So let's say this chorus here, you want to do like a double chorus, for example. So let's add the marker down here. And we could go to, let's say, post-chorus 2 if we want to. And then keep it short and sweet. Add another marker. Let's go into a, past the post-chorus, let's go to a solo of some sort. Maybe a drum solo, guitar solo, a synth solo, whatever you want to do. I'm not judging you. And then after the solo, let's break it down a little bit. Let's make a breakdown. Or a bridge, whatever you want to do. You know, you're the boss of yourself. You do what you want to do. And then breakdown, let's see. Let's go crazy. Let's add another solo. Somebody else wants to play, you know. You can't have the only solo here, I guess. This solo 2 wants to play. But he's going to be short and sweet. He doesn't want to take up too much time. And let's go into a pre-chorus 3. Same amount of length. Add another marker, chorus 3. And then, you know, let's think. Should we do the same one as the first chorus or the second chorus? You know, it's the last one of the song. Let's have some fun. Let's leave it a little bit longer. And then add an outro. And let's say you want this outro to kind of fade out and be for a little while. So, but not too long. Let's say you just want to end it right here. And then add a marker and just say end. And maybe this end will be like the end of your reverb tail or the end of your delays or effects. So this is going out here. Or you could even rename this to like end decay. So then you have all this room for your stuff to decay. And I generally listen and see exactly where it decays at and where you want to cut it off. So let's say that happens here. Let's add a marker and just say end. So that's where your song is completely gone. No reverb tails, nothing left over right here. So out of all this stuff, if we go, let's just lay down a pattern here to get this little extra space here. This is the end. So right now at 140 tempo, your song is going to be 3 minutes and 39 seconds. So that's a pretty healthy length for a song. Generally in pop songs, 140 is kind of fast. So let's maybe bring this down to like 118 or something like that. Now you're at 420. What? Oh, shit. That was an accident, by the way, the 420. That's kind of funny. But, yeah, so you can kind of just see how this kind of, if you don't know how to zoom out, hold control and scroll your scroll wheel up and down. But you can kind of see how this kind of generally keeps you on a roadmap and kind of helps you with the song structure. What helps too is, let's say you have a favorite song, drag that song into the session and find out the BPM. Either you can tap BPM or maybe you already know it, and then just start laying down markers of where that song transitions at, and then try to replicate that, but with your own song. And you'll realize how much easier it is to go from one thing to another. So that's a very helpful tip that'll kind of help you carve out or chisel out your song structure and where you want to go from. So the second tip in composing and songwriting is to, first of all, kind of think of the song that you want to create. Sometimes some people just lay stuff down and it just flows through them, and that's great. For some other people, it's a little bit more difficult. You have to put a little bit more thought into it. So let's say you want to make a song that's sad, for example, right? So let's just open up. I like to get sometimes a piano out and kind of just feel it with the piano. So we'll load up some addictive keys. If you don't know the shortcut, hold down Control while this is selected and press L, and it'll send it to the next available slot. So it's a little quality of life tip instead of like dragging this up and down. And yeah, so let's go to our keys, and we'll just, so we have, whoops, a little loud. So we have our keyboard, right? Let's spice it up just a little bit, give it some reverb. Okay, so let's say you're like, I want a song that's going to be a little bit more sad, a little bit more melancholy, or maybe just you're having a rough day and you want to kind of put that into a song. So let's pick a key. So let's go to your piano roll. You can right-click piano roll or click the piano roll button, whatever you want to do. So let's start up here, C5 or something. So for me, I have scale highlighting always enabled. Generally it's under helpers, scale highlighting. I love C sharp minor. That's one of my personal favorite keys, but don't feel like you have to stick with that. This is just kind of for an example. So this is highlighted C sharp minor. So you'll notice all the highlighted little rows here are going to be in C sharp minor. So we can kind of know that a minor key will generally sound sad to us. So maybe kind of stick within this this grid and kind of play around with those notes. So that's just staying in C sharp minor the whole time. And it kind of sounds sad, you know, it sounds, oh man, something happened, you know. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. Think of your song that you want to write first, what kind of feeling you're in, and kind of go with that. If you want to be in a major key and make it sound a little bit happier, go for it. And set up your scale highlighting accordingly, and then just kind of work your way from there. So kind of figure out what you want to make first, and then figure out, okay, this is going to be happy, this is going to be sad, this is going to sound mysterious. And if you come into the session, you're like, I don't really know what I want to do. You know, I kind of just want to write something. So FL Studio is so great in their piano roll that you have all these different types of scales to play around with. So if you're like, man, what's this weird Lydian thing? Or what's a Mixolydian? I don't know. What's a Phrygian? By the way, Phrygian sounds amazing. It's kind of dark, creepy, kind of sad-ish, but it's a really cool key to play around with, or a cool scale to play around in. And that's something that you can kind of experiment with. And what's also great too, so let's say, for example, we have our addictive key selected. Let's record something, and let's make sure to right click and note is selected. So let's play this. So we have these notes here. This is just kind of fiddling around. So let's say you like what you played, but you're like, you know, maybe I want to stay in this scale, but I don't want to be in C sharp. So Control A and select everything and hold Shift, and you can go up or down to change the key. It'll still be the same scale, but you can see what it sounds like in a different key. So we're in C sharp. So let's go down or go up 2. So now it's D sharp. And let's play this. It's kind of over here, but let's play this. That beginning kind of sucks, I'll be honest with you. I didn't rehearse that, so full disclosure. But essentially, I hope you can see this example. You want to put up 2 more. I'll kind of fast forward to this part here. Or do it up some more. And maybe you might like that version better. So by however many you moved it from, that will be your key and scale, and kind of play around with that. So that's something to kind of help set the mood or set the tonality for the song itself. And if you haven't already, which if you don't know, you can use the stamp tool. And if you want some chords, if you want a minor chord, C minor, it stamps it right there, and boom. There you go. So we can play around with that if you'd like to. So this next tip is more so for increasing your speed and trying to get things done rather than getting stuck in a certain spot. So what can help sometimes? So let's say I have just these drums here, for example. Okay, this is one of my synth metal patches I made for an acoustic drum, which is actually kind of difficult for an acoustic drums in a synth heavy song, but it's possible. So let's go to some random beats here, and let's say loud song 17, or what is this? Okay, whatever, that's fine. So you have a drum beat down, and put it down over here. And okay, we have a drum beat. Let's say now we want to add a bass or something. Let's go to Serum, Control L. Let's bring this down a little bit, and maybe there's some bass hard. Let's pick a random bass. Yeah. I just want like an acoustic analog. Okay, that's fine. That just whatever. It's a bass. So pick a bass. You're like, okay, I want to lead. Let's go to Citrus. Control L to send it to channel. Bring it down because Citrus is generally kind of loud when it first comes out of the gate. Some random stuff I made. Let's say I want a creepy pad. So these are kind of some of my presets I've already dialed, but that's beside the point. Essentially, the point is just pick some random presets of instruments that you know you're going to write with, and just jot those ideas down. Don't spend an hour in trying to find the right bass patch and maybe this isn't this, or maybe let me find another preset or this or that, or let me just build them from scratch. That'll drastically take away from your creativity of your song composition and focus that creativity into just that one patch. So if you're going to write a song, get you some basic drums, basic bass preset, I don't care, or a pad or whatever it is, and just kind of lay down your song and compose it. Then once you feel like you're in a happy spot of that song, then maybe spend some time and start dialing in different sounds for those patches, and that's where it's really going to come alive. Because I've noticed when I just lay down some preset stuff and just compose a song, and I'm like, okay, cool, I like this arrangement, I like the notes I picked, I like the tempo. Now I'm going to go in and really make the sound is how I want it. Maybe I'll spend a day and make all my patches myself with the same song structure, the same everything, but now it's tailored to how I want it to sound. And that's going to help a lot because you're going to spend your time composing your song, and it's going to come out how you hopefully want it to. And then you go for another iteration and then make your patches how you want them to sound. And after those two processes, your song's most likely going to come out much better than you envisioned it to in the beginning. So give that a try. It helps me a lot, so hopefully it'll help you guys as well. And for the fourth one of the best advices I've ever heard is EQ. The best EQ is an octave. And if you don't understand what I mean by that, let's say you're composing something and there's a lot going on. There's a full drum kit happening. There's a bass guitar or a synth bass. There's pads. There's leads. There's plucks. There's everything. There's your grandma. There's your brother. Everyone's there. Everyone's having a party, and you're trying to fit this little thingamajig, whatever you created, in because it sounds cool. But then you fit it in, and it just, you can't really get the clarity out of it. It doesn't stand out in the mix, and it's a really cool part, so you don't want to sacrifice that or anything else, and you're playing around with EQ and compression the entire time, and you're just, I don't know what to do. So if that's the case, try to use octaves of that same thing and see if that fits a little bit better. So let's go to our piano roll, and let's see, let's go over here. Let's select our keys, let's record, and let's just play something. Whatever that is, I don't care. Let's say you want to keep that. You like this thing, right? You like what's going on here. So you're trying to fit that in, but it doesn't fit. So let's open it up and see what's going on. So this is in the same patch, which I kind of don't like doing. So let's cut that. Let's go to a new pattern, and then let's paste that here. So we have it here. So let's open this up here on the piano roll and let's take a look at it. So we have this going on here. It's song mode. Here we go. So it's cool. So let's highlight it all and hold control and press up one time. And that'll change it into the next octave up. Maybe that's still doesn't fit. Let's try another octave up. You're like, okay, now that's carrying the top end of that lead and it kind of fits with everything else. So kind of play around with that. Maybe you want it lower. 1, 2, 3, 4. So make sure to hold control and do that. If you do shift, you're going to go up by a semitone. You're just going to get out of key, and it's going to be even worse than when you started. So that's a kind of a cool tip. So your octaves can be the best EQs. So if you're messing around with your EQ and everything, compression, it's not working, give that a try. You might be able to have your cake and eat it too. So something to think about. Number 5. This is, oh man, they're all important, but if they would be all number 1, that would be awesome. But the 5th one is generally, some people call it an 8-bar rule. I try to do a little bit more and do the 4-bar rule. And what that means is I've seen people compose a lot of the times, and a lot of the times in FL, and they'll say, okay, here's my drum kit. Here's ignore this part, but let's just say, I'll just do another for cleanliness. Let's say this is your bass. This is your synth fucking patch. I don't know, whatever it is. This is your stuff, right? This is your arrangement so far. And they're like, okay, I like what I have here. And they'll highlight it and they'll shift and they'll copy it. And like, okay, cool, now it's longer. I need length. Let's copy again and go over here. And what you're just doing here, yeah, you're buying more time, but now your song is boring. Now it's just a repetitive 8-bar loop that's now like, I don't know, however long people make it. So sometimes what you want to do is build stuff up, right? So maybe like have the drums and this going, and then introduce something else, and introduce something else here, and maybe something else there, and take that away. So this going by 4-bar increments is like, let's say you have your arrangement going, and this is what you like. The 4-bar rule comes in here. You have this going, your drums are going, and you're about to go into something different. But maybe introduce a little sound, like a cymbal swell or a reverse crash or a weird little sound effect that goes from like left and right, and make it interesting. Make every 4 bars something that might kind of stand out a little bit, but just making sure it's different. If that feels like it's too much and it's like an ADD mix going on, try the 8-bar rule. That might be a little bit more appropriate for what you're doing. But essentially, make every part of the song interesting. Don't just copy and paste, because people will notice that, and the song won't really be as impactful as it should be. So every 8 bars, maybe you have like some top weird synth patch or some sound effect or some LFO going really, really fast on the synth patch you make, or something interesting. I don't know. Maybe you recorded something. Maybe it's a sample. Who knows what. But just introduce different things at a pretty frequent interval, so the song has dynamics, it's live, it's not the same all the time, it's not boring. And then later on, maybe a year or 2 down the road, you listen to it and you're like, oh, whoa, that's crazy, I forgot I added that in there, that's awesome. Now my song's kind of new again, and it's interesting to listen to. And a lot of good spots are, like low-end hits. People, for some reason, mistakenly call that just the 808, but hey, if that's what you're familiar with, that's the vernacular you like to use, go for it. Basically, those low-end hits that really carry the downbeat sometimes. But just be warned, don't overuse them because they can get old really fast. Use them for very special spots, and yeah, less is more sometimes. So this was going to be labeled as 5, but this 6th one I felt like I had to add. This one is a really important one, I think, too, because sometimes when we're making our song, we're stuck in this honeymoon phase of, oh, this song is great. I got to show everybody this is awesome. This is great. I want to upload this to whatever you upload to. But sometimes once we do that, we miss out on some extra stuff we could add to it. So let's say right when you're ready to bounce it out and you finish it and you're going to upload it, stop and say, hey, let me wait at least a week And I know it's hard. I know you want to get this stuff out there, but relatively speaking, a week is a short period of time. It goes by very fast. So within this week, don't listen to your song. Don't turn it on your car. Don't listen to it on your headphones. It doesn't exist for a week. And then once that week is done, open up your session, sit down, put your headphones on or your speakers or however you like to listen best, and just play the song from beginning to end. And write down some notes, because you will find things that you won't like or stuff that you will like to add or change. And when you do that, your song's most of the time going to become better, and it's going to sound better, and it's going to be overall a better composition than what you would have uploaded if you first started, or if you first uploaded it right after you finished it. So we're all guilty of that, myself included. And later on, I'm like, oh man, I should have waited. I should have EQ'd that when my ears were rested, or maybe I could have added this. But after that, it's too late. Your song's out. It's done. So unless you do like a remix or whatever, but then again, it's not going to have the same impact as the first time, because you only get one first impression. So make sure to make the best out of it. Even if it takes that extra week's time, it's going to be worth it. So this basically concludes the video, a quick review. Use your song structure, lay down your markers so you kind of know where you're going as a roadmap. 2, if you're going into your song, pick a key or pick a feeling of what you want your song to sound like. And if you don't know, mess around with the scale, highlighting, and the different keys, and kind of you'll eventually find something. Next, just pick some easy presets and just write your song down and just get it out there and lay down. And then later on, go ahead and like spend a day or so and make your own patches, or if you don't make patches, or find better presets or whatever. Basically, just refine your sound. Spend the time to compose, and then spend the time to refine. The fourth one, the best EQ are octaves. So anything that you want to try to fit in the mix, it's not fitting, try to put it up an octave or down an octave, or up 2, down 2, and see if that works before you start going crazy and doing weird effects and stuff to try to fit something in there that doesn't fit. Fifth one, the 4-bar rule or 8-bar rule, depending on what your style is or how fast or slow your song is. If your song's really fast, 4 bars might be a little bit too much, or too little. Like I said, it depends on your song, but just make sure every part of it is interesting and it's just not copy paste endlessly. And then you're like, okay, now I have 3 minutes of a song. It's done. It's not. Make it interesting and make every second count. And then the last that we ended on, step away for a week, and I promise you will find things that you want to add or take away or make better. So that's basically this 5 tips plus that extra one. So I guess 6 tips for producers or songwriters, or really whatever you're doing in your program of choice. So I hope these help you. Give them a try. If they do help, let me know. I would like to hopefully know that this has helped other people out in the world. And if there's anything else, synth-wise, composition-wise, whatever it is, audio-related, and you're kind of curious or you don't know, or maybe you want a different perspective on it, let me know. Drop it in the comments, and I'll try to do my best to make a video for that and go over that with everybody. So thank you for watching. If you liked it, click the like button. That would be really helpful. And if you want to see more, subscribe and stick around for more videos in the future. Thanks for watching.